We are so close to the release of MLB The Show 22. It is finally here. Just 24 hours from the time I'm recording this video. It's going to be about time to load up for the first time at midnight Eastern time, April 1st. If you got the MVP or Digital Lux, you got to be able to play at that point. And as soon as you start playing, we don't know a lot of the details. We'll learn a lot more during the DD stream coming tomorrow, but we do know that Team Affinity 1 is Face of the Franchise as part of some new featured program happening. And again, we don't know a lot of those details, but we do know it's going to be there on launch. We've been getting the Face of the Franchise reveals all week. We're still missing one division, which I assume will be revealed during the DD stream tomorrow. But today we're going to go through, look at the cards that have been revealed so far and talk about which ones you should obtain and acquire first. If it's like previous Team Affinities, there'll be a choice pack at some point where you get to choose one of the 5 players from each division. You get a couple of those from each division, but it's important early game to make sure we're making smart choices with those, because we don't know how long it could take you to get another pack from a certain division. We want that team built out very, very quickly so we can hop into ranked seasons. Let's go ahead. Let's start out with the ALEE. So we're going to go division by division, rank the 5 cards that we know about. Let's find out which Face of the Franchise card you should be targeting first. Starting here with the ALEE's first card I'm targeting when I get to the ALEE's choice pack. It's Rafael Devers. The 106 power versus right day one is going to be absolutely insane. He's got 89 and 85 contact both sides. That's going to play plenty well. The 65 power versus left, that does leave a little bit to be desired. But of course, he's still going to crush righties. He's not going to be a great fielder. But if you know Rafael Devers cards, you know this man is absolutely insane. His postseason third base card that he got this year, one of my favorite cards in the entire game. His all-star game card that he got there in TA3 as well. I was also insane with that card. So Devers, a dude and a player who I am absolutely insane with. I love his swing. I love how he plays. I love a nice lefty bat in my lineup early on. He's going to be the first guy I'm looking at targeting. Next guy we're going to be looking at here, we don't know his stats yet, unfortunately, but if you use his Player of the Month card from last year or his Team Affinity 3 card, you know that Cedric Mullins is always insane anytime we get the chance to get him. So he's going to be the second guy I'm looking at picking up here in the AL East. Super excited to see his stats, but with that lefty swing, the ball just flies off the bat. Can't really explain it, but his TA3 card this year, definitely a top 5 favorite card for me. Third player we're going to be looking at here from the AL East is Aroldis Chapman. The ability to get a lefty like Chapman day one. He's going to be a featured piece in your bullpen for quite some time. We're going to need somebody to lock down those late inning ranked seasons game. Chapman is going to be that guy. Absolutely. We want to get our lineup fleshed out a little bit before that. So that's why he slots in at 3 instead of a little bit higher. Live series Chapman certainly going to be a usable replacement as well until we get our hands on this 90 overall. But once we do, I imagine that's going to be a card that's going to stick around in our lineup for quite some time. The 4th pick here in the East, it is going to be Wander Franco. It's not that he's not insane. Every single card we're going to talk about today is pretty insane, or at least we think it will be. There's not a bad option at all. But for me, for Wander, I think there are some other better shortstop, middle infield options in other divisions as well that we can use. And the lack of power on this Wander card, he's certainly going to play above that slightly. He has a great swing, the switch hitting, the fielding. He's going to play super well. With that 57 power versus right and the 75 contact, that does hurt him a little bit, even being a switch hitter. So that ranks him just below the other 3 guys that we talked about in this division. And again, I think we have some better shortstop, second base, third base options within this program. Wrapping us up here in the AL East, it is Alek Manoah. He's certainly not a bad pitcher at all by any stretch of the matter, especially early on in the game. 99 hits per 9 is nice, but he is a bit of a soft thrower. A lot of people can crush velocity if it's only at 94. He does have a decent pitch mix with the 4-seam slider, sinker, circle change. Not bad at all. I'd love to see some of his control on that sinker. That may move him up quite a little bit here and there, but especially with the changes to pitching this year where high sinkers are not going to be near as effective, I do think that makes Alek Manoah a little bit less usable, especially since he's not bringing that gas. Even though he does have some decent speed differentials, he's going to be the 5th pick for me from the AL East. Starting us off here in the AL Central, we have the Twins Face of the Franchise. It's Byron Buxton. Those hitting stats are pretty solid. We know Buxton, he's one of those dudes who just crushes the ball. You played during 21, you probably loved his Player of the Month Lightning card. 60, 80, 82, 76, at 82 and 76 power. definitely going to play early on in the game. And I'm not as concerned about the lower contact rating because, again, early on in the game, pitcher's going to have less hits per 9. Our PCI is going to be a little bit bigger as it is. I'm not concerned quite about that. This Buxton card is definitely going to be able to swing the bat. But even in addition to that, 99 fielding, 96 arm strength, 99 speed. He is going to be an absolute menace out in center field. He's going to track down and catch everything, gun people out at home. And now this year, with the ability to make perfect throws to both second and third, gun extra runners going to second, guys tagging up second to third. That arm strength is going to be a big key this year with some of those changes. I love his defense. I love his swing. Buxton, probably one of the best players in this Face of the Franchise program. Second card we're going to be looking at here in the AL Central is MANOAH Class A. Now, I will say, I didn't find his finest card all that hard to hit, but again, when that finest came out last year, we had so many other great hitters. It was definitely not as dominant as this card might be. 106 hits per 9 early on is going to play very well. He's going to have the velocity, probably outlier on maybe both the cutter and the four seam. One of those for sure. The 92 slider. It's going to be a good pitch mix, especially with pinpoint and some of the changes made to pinpoint this year. He's going to have pitches that are really effective at any spot in the zone. And locking down the back end of your bullpen early on in the game can be a huge asset. Getting a guy like CLASE you can turn to every time you're getting down to those late innings is going to be super, super valuable. I'm going to be looking to pick him up really quickly. Third card we're going to be looking at here in the AL Central is going to be Luis Robert. His player of the month last year, he had that 97, 98 player of the month card. Came out at a time where we had a ton of other outfield options, so it didn't get used a whole lot, but that card was a very incredible and underrated card. I have a feeling this card is going to be really good as well. He may even jump up this ranking list quite a bit once we see his attributes. One of the cards we don't know their attributes yet, so we just got to guess. But I still expect him to be a very, very solid card overall. It could easily be a guy who holds down a key outfield spot for you in that first ranked season's run. Number 4 option here in the AL Central, another guy we don't know the attributes yet, so this could change as we know. That's Casey Mize for me. We've seen some Casey Mize cards before. They've been kind of hit or miss. I personally not enjoyed using any of his cards too much in the past. That's the guy who's not been effective for me. Again, though, a 90 overall starter out the gate is definitely going to be a dude you want in your rotation at some point, because there's not going to be a lot of elite starting pitching options like we're used to with 22. Certainly going to be a good card, but I'm looking at some other options first in the AL Central. Final card we're going to be looking at here in the AL Central, it is the Royals Face of the Franchise in Andrew Benintendi. Not a bad card by any stretch of the matter, but the higher contact and lower power for me, I want that to be reversed in cards I'm looking at early game. I'm looking for those early game power hitters that are going to crush the ball with bigger PCIs against worse pitchers, even on lower difficulties. Those are the guys I'm looking for. Benintendi doesn't quite fit that mold. He's only an average defender and average speed. Along with that, maybe slightly above average there. Not a bad card, but again, somebody who just doesn't really jump off the page, especially when you consider him compared to the other outfield options that are within this Face of the Franchise program. For me, that puts Benintendi last in the Central. On to the AL West now. Call me biased, I don't care. Corey Seager is the best option in the AL West. He's going to be locking down shortstop, maybe second base or third base for me. Probably shortstop to go along with Devers on that left side of the infield. If you know Corey Seager, you know he has an incredible swing in this game. 82, 84 power, definitely going to play. He does have that contact up there as well. 93, 92. Both of those attributes are at thresholds that are going to play very, very well early on in this game. 71 fielding too with the 73 arm does make him maybe a little bit of a liability at shortstop. We'll have to see how he plays. If he can make the throws he needs to make, he's going to be fine there. Otherwise, we could end up moving him to second base or third base as our team evolves. 47 speed, not going to be the fastest, but it doesn't matter when you're going to be crushing the ball like this Seager will. Dare I say it, maybe the best Face of the Franchise card we've seen in the entire program so far. Might be because I'm a Rangers fan, but I'm throwing that one out there. Corey Seager, gonna be a guy you're seeing a lot this year. The second card we're looking at here in the AL West, maybe a bit of a hot take. We don't even have his attributes yet, but I do not care. Kyle Tucker, give him to me. Every Kyle Tucker card we had in MLB The Show 21 was absolutely insane for me. One of my best hitters. Something about his swing, his stance, I don't know what it is, but he's just one of those guys who is always insane for me. I can guarantee you that Kyle Tucker is going to be holding down one of my 3 outfield spots in my first World Series one come MLB The Show 22. So for that reason, I'm going to try to get him on my team early. I'm going to take him over another outfielder in the AL West we may all be talking about. I'm going with Kyle Tucker at number 2. Of course, we all know who that other outfielder is that I'm talking about. He's still going to be cracked out. I'm still going to be getting him. Mike Trout, he's going to be my 3rd card here of the American League West. Hopefully, I have his live series card before I even obtain this one. That would be a good sign of how I'm doing. That live series card 100% going to be in my lineup when I get him. This 90 Mike Trout, though, I love this concept and idea, the ability to get a Trout early in the game when you maybe weren't able to in past years. You had to get his live series. By the time you got him, he was outclassed by other players. Really love that we're getting an early game Trout. And 107 power right with 81 contact right is going to be insane. Don't get it twisted at all. 75 contact left with 73 power left. That will certainly play. Mike Trout is going to be one of the most popular cards in this game, this 90 overall. There's zero doubt about it. AL West on the top 3, definitely really stacked. Last 2 cards here in the AL West, we got Mitch Haniger and Sean Murphy. Don't know the stats for either. Mitch Haniger could definitely be a guy who has some solid power numbers, probably going to be lacking in the defense, and again, outclassed by other options in the outfield. Sean Murphy, kind of a wild card. Not a whole lot of options for the A's, but Murphy could be solid. However, I'm going to go with Mitch Haniger at 4 and Sean Murphy at 5, at least until we learn some more about the attributes of both these cards. One thing I will say about Sean Murphy, catcher can be a thin position out the gate. So if he has solid hitting attributes, could be an option that you look at taking earlier compared to some other cards. On to the NL East now. The first option is Acuna Jr. It was the only option. Even though he has 66 contact versus right, that's okay. Again, like we talked about early game, pitcher hits for 9s are lower. You're playing on all-star, maybe even some veteran to start out. Your PCI is going to be bigger because of all those things. 66 contact is going to be fine when you back that up with 92 power right and 100 power left. Acuna is going to absolutely smack the ball around. Definitely a guy who's going to be in my 3 outfield rotation. I don't know who the 3 outfielders are going to be, but he's going to be in that rotation. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about the fielding, 69 fielding. That is low. It is not ideal, but I think he will be perfectly fine, especially with the 90 speed. I played Team Affinity 3 All-Star Trey Turner out in center field, who had like 65 fielding once you took him to the secondary position. I played him out there all year long. You throw Acuna in left or right, I think he'll be perfectly fine. That speed will make up for any sort of bad jumps that he's get, and he's still going to be able to catch the ball when he gets to it, and that's what matters. This Acuna, another card, him and Mike Trout, probably going to be 2 guys you see a ton early on in this game. Acuna is going to be extremely valuable. In my video the other day, we broke down budget beasts to target early on, and then MLB The Show. I mentioned how I always try to grab a Francisco Lindor card, usually his live series, to be my shortstop. Well, we got an even better version of that this year with this 90 overall. Lindor has really balanced hitting attributes, 66, 75, 85, 74. That is great for early game. He's going to be an immaculate fielder with 99 fielding, 69 speed as well. This Lindor card is going to be super nasty. This is probably going to end up being my shortstop. I'll move Seager over to second base and throw Devers at third base. My infield is going to be set for some time. And it will be 22. He's faced the franchise cards, pretty insane. I love this Lindor card. I love switch hitter cards. Super stoked that we got this as an option. Another card I expect to see a ton of this year early on is Jazz Chisholm. He's quickly becoming one of the most fan favorite players in the major leagues. He got to reveal his very own card on Twitter, and it is really solid as well. It's got 73, 76, 84, 76. This card is going to play incredibly. 90 fielding with the 91 speed. If you're looking to get some speed in your lineup with still having the ability to hit the ball hard, this is going to be your guy you're looking for here. If you're mixing Jazz together with guys like Buxton and Acuna, you're going to have a ton of speed on your team with guys that can also hit absolute moonshots. Jazz Chisholm going to be a great option at second base, but he does slide in here third in the NL East for me, just with how stacked this division is. I think, in my opinion, NL East probably the best division out the gate for these face of the franchise cards. Last 2 options here, we got Josh Bell and JT Realmuto. We don't know the stats of these, but I actually expect both of these to be really solid. I'm gonna have JT Realmuto as my 4th option here from the NL East. He may move up depending on his attributes. I usually play well with his cards. And again, catcher's a thin position early on in the game. We're going to need to obtain some sort of catcher that we can use. JT Realmuto could end up being that guy if we obtain him early enough in the face of the franchise program. Josh Bell as well, gonna be a nice first baseman, switch hitter. I love switch hitters. Probably gonna have some decent power numbers too. Honestly, all 5 cards in the NL East are really, really great options. I am gonna have Realmuto again at 4, and then Josh Bell as my 5th option here from this division. On to the NL Central now. First option here out the gate. We're going to need a starting pitcher to add to our rotation, anchor down that ace role. We need to be able to identify that quick. I think we could see a lot of Marcus Stroman this year, the face of the franchise for the Cubs. He's got a nice pitch mix, sinker, slider, splitter, cutter, four seam. Really like that pitch mix, especially that sinker cutter combo. We can do a lot of really awesome things with that. 86 hits per 9, a little bit on the low side, especially compared to a guy like Alek Manoah in this program who has 99 hits per 9. But I like the pitch mix a lot better here. We have solid control as well. The velocity, a little bit less than what we want. But again, early game pitchers, we can do a lot with a little. That pitch mix is really nice. I'm going to be adding Stroman in my rotation as quickly as I can. Second option we'll be looking at here from the Central will be Joey Votto. He had that Lightning Player of the Month card in 21. Really solid card, even if it released when we had a lot of first base options. But we're going to need somebody to lock down first base. I'm going to grab me a nice, smooth swinging lefty bat in Joey Votto for that. I think he's a really easy pick here from the NL Central, which I'm not going to lie, a bit of a weaker division overall. Even that being said, though, Votto still a great option. With our third pick here, outfield, incredibly stacked in this program. The only reason I don't have Brian Reynolds higher than this, that's because of how many outfield options there are. But I loved his finest card in 21. I love me a good switch hitter. I do envision myself using Brian Reynolds quite a bit and having a ton of fun with him, but he is going to be out the gate my third pick here from the NL Central division. Still a really solid card overall that I expect to see a lot. Probably going to end up being a bit of an underrated card in my opinion. Fourth option here in the Central is going to be Devin Williams, a solid reliever. For some reason, I'm never good with Devin Williams cards, so that probably drops it down a little bit for me. But he does have a really good pitch mix with that circle change, the four seam, and the cutter screwball, which are really easy pitches to throw with pinpoint that you can usually dot up and are super effective. 112 hits per 9, the most we've seen so far as well. Devin Williams, maybe I'm sleeping on him a little bit and we end up being pretty nasty with him. Certainly at minimum a guy you want to pick up to fill one of those bullpen spots. Bullpen can be super tough to flesh out early on in the game. Williams could be a guy that gives you a ton of value and the back end of that rotation. Mix him with Clase and Chapman. You have a really nice bullpen early on in the game. Last card we will be looking at here, it's Tommy Edman. Unfortunately, just an archetype that I don't think plays very well in this game. Wasn't a big fan of his postseason card this year. Would have loved to see maybe Tyler O'Neill or somebody, maybe even Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals. I think those would have played a little bit better. That being said, we don't know his attributes yet. Maybe Edman surprises us with his attributes and how he plays, but out the gate, he's going to be ranking as the last option for me in the NL Central. That does do it for today. Those are the face of the franchise cards that I think are going to be the best to target first. How you should attack each division, which ones you should target. If you follow these steps and you go for the one every time and then the two and then the third, I think you can have a really fleshed out, solid, balanced lineup rotation and a bullpen. Start your squad at OVR The Show 22. Get those first World Series runs in before the new content starts pumping out and we start upgrading our squad slowly but surely. Of course, as well, we don't know what's coming in the NL West. Could be some really awesome cards from there. I'll be giving my reactions to any cards that get revealed for the NL West on Twitter. You can find the link to my Twitter in the description of this video down below. And leave a comment below, what face of the franchise are you looking forward to the most that we've seen so far for MLB 22. As always, you enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, I'll catch y'all around.